Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone. I hope you're checking out 1 hour of 5 Yard Rush, one of the best podcasts on NFL football in the UK.
Good evening, Rush Nation. We are back. We are back with another matchup show, and this time we're going to be reviewing the Thursday night game and the early slate of games. So we have 9 games to take you through today, just to take you through the slate. We also have the Island game as well. So it's going to be interesting little mix we've got here to go through and start breaking down these games. Before I change the screen up and show you the odds of all the games, plus and minuses, so you can get a handle on where we are with all of those. So we're going to get started. We're going to talk about tonight, Thursday night football. And we are here to talk about the Seattle Seahawks versus the Arizona Cardinals. Seahawks favored by 1.5. I think this is a good line, over under 43.5. I think that could be in jeopardy of trying to be potentially a little bigger than that. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how this game breaks down. Both these teams have been a little inconsistent maybe to start the season. Both these offenses perhaps a little slow, hence the 43.5 line defenses. Definitely the stronger point of this team as well. So we're going to see how we get on. As for the quarterbacks, I'm not necessarily desperate to start either of these quarterbacks tonight. Kyler Murray is my quarterback 13 on the week. Sam Darnold is my quarterback 21 to start the week. As we get into the running backs, I should state again, as I do every time, it's half-point PPR, not full point. So there might be some discrepancies depending on the lines you look at. Kenneth Walker, I have at QB 14. I think this is a strong QB running back week. He's running back 14. I think this is a strong running back week, to be honest. And I'm struggling to get him any higher, although I would like to. I think he's going to really start to turn it on the next couple of weeks after a really strong showing last week. Trey Benson, he is at RB19 after taking the job away from James Collins due to that unfortunate season-ending injury. Zach Charbonnet, we're not sure if he's a go. He's currently 53 in my ranks. Emery DeMarcado is at 55 in my ranks. Neither of those should be of any concern. I should be worried about if Charbonnet's out, maybe there's a small bump for Walker, but I'm struggling to get him higher than I am already. So it'd be interesting to see where we go here. As for the wide receivers, Jackson Smith and Jigma, I'm looking forward to talking to him tonight with our guest BJ Ruddle on the flagship show. So tune in for that later on. He is my wide receiver 2 this week. Marvin Harrison Jr. is at wide receiver 26. He has a really tough matchup. Cooper Kupp and Torrey Holton are 59 and 60 this week, so no need to start them. As for the tight ends, Trey McBride, he's at 2. AJ Barner, he's at 28. As for the defenses here, Seattle Seahawks are at 10, and the Arizona Cardinals, they're at 17. Outside chance of them doing something this week and getting some pressure to Sam Darnold, but there are other matchups I prefer. And then the kickers, I have back-to-back Chad Ryland at 18, Jason Myers at 19, which you would expect given the low over-under total of 43.5. So moving on to the Island game, and it's the Steelers versus the Vikings. Vikings favored by 2.5. As they head and play the first ever regular season game in Ireland. Over-under in this one is a shockingly low 40.5. Maybe that's a bit of disrespect on Carson Wentz. Maybe that's the Steelers' offense as well, not really firing on all cylinders. What I will say to this is that the travel will play a significant part in this game, and international games do tend to score lower than stateside games as a general rule. And again, I'm being really loose with this. I'm not saying there's any statistical trend in this, but from my experience, having seen this for 15, nearly 20 years, is that these games do tend to score lower. And again, that's teams struggling with the jet lag, struggling with the conditions. It is a little bit more of a different atmosphere here, but this should be a fantastic spectacle. I can't wait to see it personally. It is at that strange kickoff time as well, where they are kicking off at 2:30 in the afternoon, which is 9:30 Eastern time. So nice way to wake up, start the game, start the day. So If we look at the offenses in this one, keep in mind that over-under. I have these quarterbacks back-to-back. Carson Wentz at 25, Aaron Rodgers at 26. Aaron Rodgers was actually a bit lower in my ranks, and I realized I was probably being a little bit too harsh. But the last time I saw him in London a couple of years ago, he did not look good. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Jordan Mason, he's at 10. He's got a full workload. Jaden Warren, he's at 24. He's looked really good. I just don't know about this game and the game script or whether he's going to get the opportunity to put up big numbers here. Kenneth Gainwell is at 44. I'm not worrying about Xavier Scott, who did well on debut. He is my running back 67. Cam Akers at 71. Caleb Johnson at 77. Not starting any of those near the teams here. As for the wide receivers, I have Justin Jefferson at 4. DK Metcalf at 27, Jordan Addison, who returns from suspension at 30, Calvin Austin Jr. Calvin Austin III, he's at wide receiver 62. Again, I stress this is half-point PPR. TJ Hawkinson, good week last week, 30% target share. He's at 10 this week. Johnny Smith's at 20. Pat Freiermuth is at 24. As for the defenses, they should be pretty high in this game. And both of them are startable. Minnesota Vikings are at 7. The Pittsburgh Steelers are at 11 in my ranks. And then looking at the kickers, Chris Boswell, he's at 7. Will Reichard, who hit the long field goal last week, he is at 16 this week. I think this will be a bit of a struggle for him in the conditions. Then we get to the main slate, the 1 o'clock slate, or 6 o'clock here in the UK, and we have the Buccaneers versus the Eagles, and the Eagles are favored by 3.5. We call that a Super Bowl bias. Obviously, the Eagles did really well to get back last week. Both teams are 3-0. Buccaneers are a bit banged up as well. That probably plays a little bit into this. What I would say is that the Buccaneers have tended to own the Eagles in recent times, and I'm struggling to recall a year where they last lost, but I think we're going back to probably before Fitzmagic and Winston. Probably look at Jameis Winston was the last losing quarterback to the Eagles. So it is going to be interesting. There's playoff wins in there for the Buccaneers. So I just think, and the way I view this, and this is, people are going to say you're a homer, Murf, and that's fine, but I just think the Buccaneers match the Eagles really well. Eagles want to try and run the football. The Buccaneers, probably the best run defense in football. And I just think it's going to be really, really difficult game for the Eagles. I will say, though, without Mike Evans, who are the field stretchers in this game, it's going to be really difficult for the Buccaneers to put up consistent points, but they have found a way to win the last 3 weeks. This should be, for me, the game of the slate, having these 2 3-0 teams duel at it. So with that in mind, let's start looking at the fantasy relevant players. I've Jalen Hurts at 6. I'm probably a bit lower than everybody else in the consensus because of this. Baker Mayfield's at 12. He does have a bit of a questionable tag, but I would expect him to go this week, barring something drastic happening over the course of the next couple of days. Bucky Irving is at 9. Saquon Barkley is at 13. He hasn't broken 4.3 yards per carry this season, and against the best run defense in the NFC. Going to be a tough one for him, so I'm a little bit lower in him. Again, I'm going to be lower on my ranks on Barkley than anybody else this week because of this matchup. Excuse me. AJ Brown, he's at 11. Mecca Buka, he's at 14 if he's good to go, which I imagine he will be after recovering from illness. Devonta Smith at 42. Sterling Shepard, he is someone who I have at 70.5 point PPR. In full PPR, he would get a jump. 2 players in my ranks who I'm a little soft on while I'm just waiting for a bit more news is Xavier Worthy at 58. And I'm just waiting for Mike Evans to be officially confirmed out. And then Sterling Shepard and Xavier Worthy will be 2 players going up in my ranks this week as we pull through. Just thought I'd be transparent now on that one. As for the tight ends here, K. Dalton, I think, is a play this week. He's at 18. Dallas Goedert's at 21. Normally good matchup, but he hasn't been healthy. I wouldn't risk it this week for him. And then the Eagles, DST 9. The Buccaneers are at 22. They're just not making those sort of... the Eagles aren't going to give them a lot in terms of turnover weight, plays, and sacks. So we're just struggling to see where the Bucs are going to accumulate points as a DST this week. As for the kickers, Elliott's at 11. Chase McLaughlin He is at 14 this week. Next one up is the Bills. They're at home to the Saints. This is a stupid line. Bills are favored by 15.5 with the over-under set at 47.5. It's a stupid line. Like, what are we supposed to do with that? Like, it. I know the Saints are bad, but 15.5 points is just so much to have to cover. And the Bills are not what I call like a gun-ho team where they'll just put 50 up on everybody. So I'm just not sure I'm buying that. I'd probably take the Saints and the points here. That's just too big a lag to make up. So probably not going there. Josh Allen is my QB1 this week as a result of that line, though. And Spencer Rattler is at 32. I mean, he's been awful. It wouldn't shock me if he eventually got benched in this game. It's about time. James Cook, he's at 4. This is half-point PPRs. Alvin Kamara's at 22, although he's not been getting any work in the passing game, which has been a little bit ridiculous because he's one of the better receiving backs in the NFL. As for wide receivers, Chris Olave's at 29. I think he's a proper buy low candidate, and I'll talk more about that tonight. Khalil Shakir, he's at 34. Keon Coleman's at 43. Rashid Shaheed is at 45. They're flex wherever he plays. In a league where you're desperate and need to put a receiver out there, they could be good options. As for the tight ends, Juwan Johnson, he's at 6. Dalton Kincaid at 9. Both of those are having really good seasons so far here in 2025. As for the defenses, the Buffalo Bills are at 4, and the Saints are dead last at 32. And then the kickers, we have Matt Prater at 3 and Blake Grupe at 29. Next up on the slate is the Patriots and the Panthers, and I don't know why the Patriots are only favourites by 4.5. I think they're a better team than that, and Vegas are giving them some disrespect, maybe because of the big blowout win by Carolina last week has probably just jaded them a little bit. But I have Drake May as my quarterback 4 this week. I think it's a good week for him to really stamp on his authority. He's put a good season together so far, and I think we're going to see continued improvement. Bryce Young's at 23. He had a good week last week, but I'm just not convinced on the consistency of him. As for the running backs here, Devon Achan, Chuba Hubbard, he's at 27. Trayvon Henderson, I just think with the fumbles last week of Ramondre Stevenson, I've bumped him up a bit. He's at 28. Ramondre Stevenson's at 43. Rico Daddle is down at 52. Next up on the wide receivers here, again, half-point PPR. I'm going to keep saying it. Ted McMillan, he's a questionable tag, but I fully expect him to go. He is at 13 this week. I think this is a good matchup for him. Stephon Diggs, he's at 50. Kayshon Boutte is at 52. There isn't really anyone else I'd be looking to worry about. Though Kendrick Bourne did put together a nice week last week, but I'm not looking at it in any particular fashion other than it was a one-off. Hunter Henry, he's at 7. He's had a good season. And then Tre'Tavion Sanders is at 36. He is questionable. If I got a better diagnostic on his health, I would probably be bumping him up boards a little bit. And then we look at the defenses. New England are at 6. I think this is where they will stamp their authority in the game. Carolina are a little bit longer than that. They are at 27 in my rankings this week. And then we come to the kickers. Not kickers, I imagine, are heavily rostered. But Andy Borregales is at 24 in my ranks this week. Ryan Fitzgerald is at 31. Next up on the list is Falcons Commanders. Commanders are only favored by 1.5 after the Falcons were put up a bagel, was shut out last week by the Carolina Panthers. I imagine, and it's trending towards Jaden Daniels playing. And I think if Jaden Daniels is playing, this line will move. And I just had a quick look because this is for me quite what I call a volatile line. And I think that the line actually opened at 3.5 with more expectation. The line has shrunk because they probably wanted to see a little bit more improvement from Jaden Daniels. And that's probably why the line has shrunk. To where we've got it now, which is this 1.5. I actually would expect this to then reopen up back to that 3.5, 4 towards the end of the week. Because again, I'm projecting. Again, I'm not a doctor. The Jaden Daniels plays. He's currently 11 in my rankings. And so he's someone I would be keeping an eye on. He might move up a little bit on this. But then if he's not 100% but plays, it's a hard one when you've got a player like that who they will obviously want to start. If Marcus Mariota plays, then he'd be somewhere around about QB 18 to 20 is about where I put him. Michael Penix, he's at 22 this week. As for the running backs, Bijan Robinson, he's at 3. Bill Krosky-Merritt, he's at 31 because he's carrying a bit of an injury. I just think they'll be a bit careful because they've already got some big injuries in that room. Tyler Algier's at 37, Jeremy McNichols at 39, Chris Rodriguez at 42 as a result of that questionable tag to Bill. Wide receivers here, we've got Drake London's at 21, Deebo Samuel's at 25, Terry McLaurin, who looks unlikely to play at this stage, but I do have him in my ranks at 47, but actually I don't think he's going to go. But I'm waiting for more news on that. Darnell Mooney is at 48. Tight ends. Kyle Pitts has continued to putting up decent numbers. He's at 13. He has a questionable tag, though. Zach Ertz, he's at 12. So there's a lot of injury news in this game. It's really tough to kind of get pointy with this. You're going to have to stick to our Discord. Link is below to keep up to date with the ranks here. As for the Washington Commanders, they are 14th in my DST rankings. The Atlanta Falcons are at 21. And then as for the kickers, Matt Gay's at 22. Parker Romo is at 25. Next up in the list is the Lions versus the Browns. Lions are favored by 10, over under set at 44.5. Yeah, I don't really have much to say here about this one, if I'm truly honest. Just think that the Lions are going to be too good, as you would kind of expect. And I think this is going to be one of those games that we'll watch on Game Pass and just see how bad the Browns are. I think defensively they're good, and I think they might keep the score respectable as a result of that. But really, there is only going to be one winner in this one. It is going to be the Detroit Lions. As a result of that, Jared Goff, he's at 14. I just think they might choose to run the ball more, be more conservative. Joe Flacco's at 28. He could be one of these players that goes and puts a top 15 week up just because he might just sling it in a desperation play. Jameer Gibbs is at 5. Quinton Judkins is at 23. David Montgomery, he's at 30. I'm just not buying the renaissance just yet of him, despite a good week last week. Amon-Ra St. Brown's at 3. Jameson Williams at 24. He's got a really good head-to-head matchup, so this should work out nicely for him. Jerry Jeudy, he's at 40. Cedric Tillman, who's got a questionable tag, he is at 46. No need to worry about the rest of the receivers in this game. As for the tight end, Sam Laporta, he's down at 8 for me. Harold Fanning at 15. David Njoku's got a questionable tag. He's at 16 for me this week. The Detroit Lions are right up there. There's my DST2. Atlanta are not anywhere. Browns are at 15 because they have good quality players and they could get sacks and they could get at it, especially if they bring backups in. There could be a lot of garbage time points here, given that line. And Jake Bates is at 8, but Andre Smith is at 32. Couple of games left to go. One is a divisional battle here between the Texans and the Titans. Texans favored by 7. Titans are just in a rebuild mode. It's not looking particularly good for them at this point in time, but we will keep going as a result. I think it's a low-scoring game. It's the lowest-scoring game of the slate, 38.5, and that seems pretty accurate. So therefore, I'm a bit down on all these players here. CJ Stroud's at 20 in my quarterback rankings. Cam Ward at 29. He carries a questionable tag as well, but I imagine he'll be okay. As for the running backs, Tony Pollard, he's at 25. Nick Chubb is at 32 this week. And then Woody Marks is at 38. See him taking the receiving work. So keep an eye on Woody Marks over current weeks. Keep talking about him on the waiver wire show. He's one to keep an eye on. As for next one's up, Nico Collins, he's at 7. Calvin Ridley's at 35. Eilik Iomanor is at 44. Christian Kirk's at 56. And again, he's a hard player to rank because we don't really know what we're getting. I think you're going to see better weeks next week. Wouldn't shock me if he outperformed that either. Chicken Corn is at 19. Dalton Schultz is at 22. This should be a good week for the Houston Texans D. They are at 3. Tennessee Titans are at 18. Don't think they're going to get disgraced here. And then the kickers, I think it's going to be Kaimi Fairbairn in the top 10, just squeaking in there at 10. Joey Sly is going to be at 26. And then the last game of the slate is the Giants v. the Chargers. Chargers favored by only 6. I'm a bit surprised. There'll be a bit more than that, over under 43.5. And we have Jackson Dart starting as quarterback 1 this week for the Giants. I mean, I don't really have much to say. I think he's an underbaked player. He needs a lot. I guess he needs a lot of time. He's going to get a lot of time. I'm not convinced that this is a great situation to be bringing him into, but the coaches probably feel like they need to do this to keep their jobs, so they are where they are. Justin Herbert's at 33. Jackson Dart is 31 in my rankings. I mean, what am I supposed to try and evaluate him on? If I'm evaluating him from his body work at college, he's going to turn the ball over a lot. So we'll see what happens. Marion Hampton with no Najee Harris, he's at 11. Expect him to see increased workload now with no Harris there. Cam Scatterbo with no Tyron Tracy, he's going to be the lead back. He's at 26. I don't think they're going to be in a run game script that often in this game. I think they're going to be chasing their tails. Malik Neighbors, he's got a questionable tag, but I expect him to go. He's at 5. Keenan Allen is at 18. Lambert Conkey is at 19. Quinton Johnson is at 28. This is a team that's throwing the ball more than anyone in the NFL right now, and all 3 can be sustained as top 3 receivers. So it should be a really good week for them. I didn't have, I forgot about Wan'Dale Robinson. Sorry, Wan'Dale Robinson. Again, this is half point, so in full point, he would get a significant jump here. He's at 37. He's getting a lot of targets, just not a lot of accuracy, which again, I think is why it led to the quarterback change. As for the tight ends, not anyone. I mean, I caught Gadsden at 31. And to be honest, I think that's a little low. I'm probably going to have to go back and review that. Just because he got 7 targets and 5 catches for a little bit of yardage. In PPR league, he'll do all right. I think because it's half point, I was probably dinged him a little bit much. I have him below Theo Johnson. I don't think that's right. So I'm probably going to move him after this video. He's one of these I kind of throw in and see if he gets a touchdown. But again, that's probably the only reason he's going to be valuable. Chargers are at 5 in DST ranks. Giants are at 28. And then we have Dicker at 4. Graham Cano, who's questionable. He's at 28. They do have Young Ho Koo, who's going to be coming off. He's on the practice squad if something was to happen to Gano and he couldn't go. That's always never a good sign, but then I don't imagine many of you are starting Graham Gano. That's going to do it for this one. Tune in for part 2 tomorrow. We'll review Thursday Night Football. Should be a good game. Looking forward to hearing people's comments. Use the link below, add to the Discord, and I'll answer any questions as we can. But looking forward to chatting to each and every one of you. But until then, Rush Nation, don't forget, as always, keep rushing.